A medieval tavern. One meal. One journey. Hello there. If you're curled up under your blanket right now, the lights dimmed low, and your mind still lingers on the edge of reality, then let me take you somewhere both familiar and strange, through the door of imagination where a meal is not just to fill your belly, but a journey into a distant past. Have you ever wondered what if you accidentally opened the back door of an old tavern, only to find yourself stepping into a medieval inn? No digital menus, no air conditioning, and certainly no Wi-Fi, but in exchange, you'd be welcomed by a warm, smoky voice tinged with the scent of burning wood. Traveler, from which land do you hail? That's the voice of the tavern keeper, a burly man with a thick beard, sleeves rolled up revealing burns from the oven, his gaze both wary and kind. You step inside quietly. The packed earth beneath your feet is cool and slightly damp. Rough stone walls, thick and time-worn, hold on to the chill of centuries past. The faint light from a few candles stuck into wooden sconces, along with the soft glow of embers in the hearth, makes the space feel as though it's breathing. A slow, ancient breath. From the back, the aroma of the kitchen rises, a rich blend of goose fat, wild herbs, stewed onions, and freshly baked bread. There's a hint of smoke, a trace of steam, and an overwhelming sense of familiarity you didn't expect to miss. You sit down on a long oak bench, worn but sturdy. Beside you, a man in a woolen cloak and linen cap is carefully slicing a block of hard cheese with a rusty knife. He looks at you and nods, as if greeting an old regular. In the corner, a bard gently strums a lute, humming a ballad about a lovelorn knight who left his castle in search of wine and warm pastries. His voice is rough, but warm, like honey mead warmed over a low flame. Then you hear heavy footsteps. The tavern keeper returns and sets down a wooden plate in front of you, a thick slice of dense black bread, a few cuts of dried ham, and a small bowl, not of wine, but something fragrant, sweet, and steaming, a turnip soup, spiced with black pepper and herbs. He smiles. This is the pilgrim's meal, simple, hearty, and strong enough to keep the northern winds at bay. You take a spoonful, and in that moment, you understand. The medieval folk didn't just eat to survive, they ate to remember, to connect, and to hold fast against the passing of time. As you savor that humble bowl of soup, allow me to share with you a few things people rarely mention when they talk about medieval cuisine. Did you know that most people in those days, from peasants to nobles, ate bread almost every single day? But bread wasn't quite like the kind you know. For the poor, it was made of barley or oat flour, baked into something as hard as stone, sometimes stretched with bits of tree bark or even clay to make it last longer. Meanwhile, the wealthy enjoyed white bread made from pure wheat, a symbol of status and power. And vegetables? There were no fresh salads drizzled with olive oil. Everything was cooked soft. Turnips, cabbages, onions, beets, simmered in iron pots, sometimes with bones, sometimes with only salted water. Meat? Rare, unless it was a feast day. Chicken, duck, or goose, if you were lucky. Pork, beef, and lamb were mostly reserved for the upper class or for special occasions. Cured meats, salted cuts, sausages hanging from the rafters above the hearth. That was the medieval refrigerator. And the soup you're eating now, that simple, steaming broth, was the soul of many medieval meals. It wasn't just about filling the stomach, it was about telling a story, because every pot of soup was different, shaped by the season, the cook, and perhaps, even the fate of the one who ate it. There's something you'll notice when you return to that tavern. Time doesn't seem to pass in the usual way. You could be gone for months, even years, but when you push open that wooden door again, the scent of smoke, tanned leather, and wheat beer is exactly the same. Even the tablecloth still bears the faint mark of the handprint you left the last time you ate that turnip soup. Today, it's drizzling. The rain patters gently on the thatched roof, like someone strumming a harp made of boiled carrots, soft, but with an oddly rhythmic beat. You tiptoe inside. The familiar creak of the hinge sounds like an old storyteller whispering fairy tales, his breath warm with cinnamon and firewood. Ah, our regulars returned. The tavern keeper's voice rings out from behind the counter. He's still wearing that same worn-out apron with the image of a rooster holding a fork, a gift from a traveler who claimed to hail from the eastern lands. They say folks there make a kind of chili sauce out of fermented fish. The tavern keeper once tried a spoonful and spent half the night vomiting in the garden, but he still keeps the jar like a precious relic, to scare misbehaving children into eating their vegetables. You sit at your old spot, on the same oak table. Its legs are still as wobbly as ever. The tavern keeper doesn't ask what you want, he just winks. Fresh mushroom pies, straight from the oven. If you remember, the black mushroom incident last time. You chuckle. How could you forget the old woman in the wool shawl bringing in that basket of mushrooms? And the barkeep's half joking, half serious warning. If those mushrooms are wrong, we'll all wake up in heaven tomorrow morning. The old woman still visits the tavern regularly. Today is no different. She enters with her slow, deliberate gait, the basket of mushrooms tilting slightly as if she were carrying an entire forest on her arm. She says little, just places the basket on the counter, gives a small nod, then sits in the corner near the hearth. Beside her is a fat cat, ash-gray fur and glowing yellow eyes, like two slices of smoked cheese. That cat's better at picking mushrooms than most people, the tavern keeper whispers. Last time I was suspicious of a mushroom, I placed it on the ground. The cat glanced at it, shook its head. I threw it out, but the ones it potted, begging to eat, every single one, absolutely delicious. You glance at the cat, resting its chin on the old woman's foot, and think to yourself, in the Middle Ages, perhaps cats were culinary experts. Stranger than fairy tales. Suddenly, the door bursts open. A tall man in a deep blue cloak steps inside, lute in hand, looking like he's just returned from a psychological battlefield. He drops into a chair near you, gives the lute a soft strum, and says, "Bring me something that can make a man forget heartbreak." The tavern keeper nods, as if he's heard this request 100 times before. He calls to the kitchen, "1 almond tart with honey mead. Won't bring back lost love, but it'll knock you out till noon tomorrow." Just then, the door creaks open again. In trots a scrawny red-haired boy, hair wild, dragging a leather pouch clinking with bird bones. As he enters, he announces, "I've moved. I'm now apprenticed to the Purple Owl Mage on the northern slope, but I still remember the turnip soup here." The tavern keeper scowls. "Last time, you ordered a bowl, drank all the broth, left the turnips. This time, eat them all." You laugh, and feel an odd warmth bloom in your chest. In this tavern, no one asks your profession, no one needs a credit card. As long as you have a story, be it heartbreak or a wizard who sneezes fire, you're welcome here. When the mushroom pies and turnip soup arrive, you realize what you love most isn't the flavor, though the food is always rich, full of onions and a hint of wild ginger. It's the feeling. You are not in a hurry, no one rushes you. There are no ticking clocks or flashing emails. Only the crackle of logs in the hearth, the gentle plucking of a lute, and the tavern keeper mumbling at the cat as if it understands every word. You lick one more pat of butter, and I swear, tomorrow's special will be smoked cat. The cat merely squints, purring like it's meditating. The mushroom pie had barely touched your lips, and you were smiling when, crash, a sharp, cold sound shattered the moment, like a dream breaking in the middle of a winter's night. You jolted awake. The fluorescent light buzzed above you. In front of you, no oak table, but a lab desk, stained with old coffee rings. A glass beaker lay shattered on the floor, as if it, too, had dozed off with you. You rub your eyes. Ink smudges from a felt-tip pen still mark your fingers. The plastic chair beneath you is still warm. Just a nap. Brief. Hurried. But why did it feel so deep? Outside, the wind still stirs. But inside you, something has stilled. Like a spoon left resting in a bowl of warm turnip soup. And a whisper lingers still, drifting from the dream world. When you're tired, even 5 or 10 minutes of stillness, if your mind can rest, then it is a good sleep. You smile, gather the broken glass, and rise. This world may have no stone hearth, no bearded tavern keeper, no gray cat who judges mushrooms, but in your heart, that old inn still stands, and it will always be there, waiting for you to return whenever you're weary and need a place to rest.